At Richmond, Austin Dillon wrecked Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin on the final lap for the win. The hit versus Logano was egregious. Is there any chance the contact with Hamlin was unintentional?
No, because Austin made a left-hand turn to avoid, after he made contact with the 22, he made a left turn to correct his course, straightened his course, then turned left again. So there were two, if you can read the graph, there's a big left, straight, big left again. Trust me, I do this for a living.
I know, I understand, but I don't. But that's why I'm asking a question.
Copy.
If you're in front, you think he's trying to door you, or is there enough time in 350 feet? In 350 feet is what we're talking about.
I think he's just trying to make contact. I can't see him because I have a big right side headrest, right? So, but I know he's kind of coming down. But he's able to see me because of the visibility of you have a window net there, so you can see when a car's passing you. And I think more than likely when he's getting told to come down, he's doing what he's told, and then when he sees me, he's trying to make contact. But at that point, I nearly had him cleared. So, that the right rear is just the vulnerable spot that puts you in a bad wreck situation.
And obviously, you've talked about it on your podcast and things of that nature. You like to look at the whole totality of the circumstances. In this situation, the system puts this on the table for a driver to be able to do this in order because you've got to make the playoffs. How do we fix the system, and is it fixed now with this penalty?
Man, I certainly hope so. I certainly would love to see it called in real time going forward. I think there's going to be an opportunity in a few weeks for NASCAR to perhaps use the bottom series to start to set precedents for us, to let people know that they're not going to put up with intentional wrecking for wins. I think that there's some incidences that have happened in the past that probably, if this is a new precedent, it could fall under those. I think, for instance, when I spun out Chase Elliott 2017, I would deem that as, while I know I didn't intentionally wreck him, I tried to move him out of the way, I intentionally made contact with him. So the result does matter. So I think that, I watched a Cars Tour race 3 times. Someone got put to the back for spinning. It's just an easy call. It really is an easy call, but you have to give the people in the tower liberty to do it. And hopefully we've created a new precedent where if you spin out the leader, and in such an egregious manner, you get put to the last car on the lead lap or whatever it might be. And I certainly think there's going to be I don't think it will deter. I know people are really worried about, we don't want to stop the contact. You're not going to. We're still going to push the edge to try to get the guy out of the groove to win the race. We're still going to make contact, but it certainly would give us pause in those situations that you saw last weekend where, is it really, it's not going to be worth just cleaning someone out that, deservingly was going to win the race, which is the fair part of sport of this. I think there's a balance of entertainment and sport that can be had here. It's just a matter of, that's one where you need to really, put your foot down and say, we've got to police the sporting aspect of this at that point.
Dustin, Lee, Bob.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Are you satisfied with NASCAR's decision?
I am. I mean, certainly in the moment, you wish that, you just take the win. Everything else fixes itself at that point instead of kind of having this kind of split decision. But as I understand it, there's some iffy language in the rule book that would, can you really go back and take a win this late in the game? But again, I think in the future, you just send whoever it is to the back, and it all fixes itself. You don't have to worry about taking off playoff eligibility and stuff like that. But given how much time it took, it was probably the right call.
So you're comfortable if they added language, or they need to add language to take wins away in the future?
You're just sending people to the back for rough driving. We have that ruling in the rule book. It's just you actually implement the rough driving.
You talked on your podcast that I think you were going to play basketball with Austin this week. Did you guys play? Have you talked or any conversation?
He didn't come. No, he didn't come.
So have you had any conversation with Austin?
No.
Do you need to, or is there anything that obviously you've had a lot that's been said that's out there publicly, but is there anything you need to say, or do you need to hear something from him since you're the one who got hurt? And
I mean, I just think I don't have anything negative to say, really, even after this with Austin. I really don't have anything negative to say about his character. I really stuck up for him quite a bit earlier in this year when he was going through some pretty tough finishes and things like that, talking about how I really respected his character, and I still do. He just was put in a very tough spot where, you have to make a split-second decision, and he made one that was, not in the best interest, in my opinion, of the sport. And so people make mistakes, and I think that everyone deserves second chances.
you talked about the shoulder after the race. I know you've had all sorts of work done on the past. I know there's never be 100%, but how was the shoulder? What's your condition after that contact?
Yeah, it was just more my whole right side really just took, the hit. When you look at kind of how these next-gen cars take crashes, really the flat side impact is kind of the worst thing that you can have because there is no crush there. There's no crush to have there. Actually would have been better off to nose it head on or back it in because we have the softer bumpers and whatnot now. So it just happened to work out to where that total flat right side, it was very similar in how it felt to the Daytona rain crash where I was in the lead, tank slapped it and hit it flat on the right side, and it hurt my right side in that one as well. So it was just a really weird circumstance, and honestly, just going 100 miles an hour still can, result in a really hard hit.
Lee
Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. To follow up on that, the fact that you were playing hurt last year, do you think that the injury to your shoulder will affect your chances to win the championship this year?
No, because I had some internal, stuff that just needed to get repaired, and finally now it is repaired, but it's just I'm still, even though it's been 8 months or 9 months or so since surgery, it's just rotator cuffs take forever, and I'm not as young as I used to be, so I don't recover quite as quick as I used to. But no, it's one of those things where last year I was just kept making the injury worse and worse and worse by continuing to race. And this year it's getting better each week. It's just, weeks like last just kind of take a little bit of, a week off.
You still feel good about your championship?
Yes.
And did you go to the competition meeting this morning? And was the situation discussed? And no, okay.
Ran out of time.
Okay, and the next short track will be at, I believe, is Bristol, and it's a cutoff race. What do you think about Bristol being a cutoff race, and is there the potential there for something similar to happen?
Well, it's always possible, but I think that, I've said for quite some time, I think that if NASCAR just puts their foot down once, it will really scare us from doing these things in the future. When the clash kind of has gotten out of hand over time, at the end of it where people were just cleaning each other out at the end, it just takes one call, one black flag call to then, trust me, it will reset all of us to say, I can't be as egregious as I was before. Certainly those things could still happen. Someone could be in a desperate situation, but they're going to have to live with the result, being that the precedent has been set that there's a chance that will not count.
Bob.
Bob Hockris, Fox Sports. Do you know where the line is? Is it any more defined?
I think that, I feel like I saw something that I'd never seen before last week, and we saw an unprecedented penalty for it. So when you see something unprecedented, you sometimes have to respond in an unprecedented manner. I believe so. I think that hard racing is still okay. I think if two cars are battling side by side and one of them hits the wall because of the close racing, I think that that's going to be deemed okay. I think if you, come from a long ways back, you were not going to win the race until you decided to wreck someone. I think that is a clear line in the sand, but sometimes balls and strikes are not totally clear. Sometimes there's one around the edge and you have to call it, but it's up to us to make the decision. Do we want to put ourselves in that gray area where it could be called one way or another? So I think that you just have to live with the result. I think if NASCAR polices intentional wrecks for the win going forward, there's going to be some close calls, but you put yourself in that spot, so you're going to have to live with the result and the call and the ruling on it.
All right, we only have time for one more. We're going to end with Steve right here.
Steve Schweitzer with the Lasco Press. Denny, a lot of things happened in a real short period of time there last week, and it's always easy to second guess. But looking at the replays, if NASCAR had flipped the switch on the caution light when Joey hit the wall, you likely would have been the winner. Did you have any discussions with NASCAR about that scenario?
No, I mean, we talked about it a little bit today. They're going to try to get us to the finish line as much as they can in a safe manner. Yeah, I mean, it certainly, if it happened right when Joey hit the wall, certainly, yeah, we would have been ahead. I don't know that it would have changed, what happened with the 3. I think maybe you still was going to be in a, kind of a erratic situation. But I don't know. They're always going to try to get us to the finish line, and probably what they deemed is that the 22 was up out of the groove and not an immediate threat, and we were so close to the finish line that they were going to try to let it go as long as they did. But at least in my mind, they did throw the caution on the secondary. When I hit the wall at a heavy rate, they threw the caution really kind of right when I hit it. So, they didn't just let it go all the way to the finish line, which is good.